Welcome my friends to another Alliteration gaming video. I'm Levi and today I am bringing to you my list of what I think are the top 10 strongest, most impactful cards in the upcoming set release for the My Hero Academia collectible card game Heroes Clash. Now when I say the 10 strongest cards in the set, the criteria is going to be very similar to how I do my ultra rare tier list videos, just put into a top 10 format instead. So it's going to be based on two main factors: the overall power level and strength and impact the card has on the game, but also its versatility as well. Can it be played in multiple decks? Is it locked into one character, one keyword, etc, etc. So those are the two main factors we're going to be looking at as I judge these cards throughout this list. And let me tell you something, guys. Heroes Clash is busted. This was not an easy top 10 list to make by any means. There's a lot of really powerful cards in the set, and it was not easy to narrow it down. And even then, the ranking amongst these 10 is pretty blurred between a lot of them. They could really go kind of either way. What's really important is probably like the top 3 or so. I'd say that's where it gets down to the really nitty gritty. So let's get right into it, shall we? So for number 10, I'm gonna cheat a little and list basic training, easily excited, and quick to act. These are just kind of the 3 like really busted zeros in my opinion in the set that all just provide really passive value for no cost as zero diffs, and I think that's really nuts. If I were to actually rank them individually, it would be only basic training up here, but I think easily excited and quick to act are so similar in the value they provide and like in power level that I kind of just thought I'd cheat a little and list all 3 of them because I think they all deserve that recognition. But if it really had to be just one of these, it would be basic training for sure, just because of that deadlock ability being so strong. Next, going into number 9, we have Invisible Infiltration, the ultra rare for Hagakure Toru 2 dot, and this card's really good. There's a lot of other applications for this card in all 3 of its symbols that do really strong things. Being able to just remove your opponent's defensive foundations for that attack if you don't want them to mess with this, or being able to use things like your really powerful flip costs, say stuff like sticky balls or things like that, to be able to come back unflipped and use them again in the same turn. The fact that the breaker is Toru gated is the only reason this card is not higher up on the list. Next, moving on to number 8, we have Conflict of Ideologies. This is an extremely powerful foundation, allowing you to selectively freeze your opponent's assets and foundations, and sits there waiting to pump burn damage anytime they don't block your Fury move. This card is really strong. One of the standout foundations, the fact that you can just selectively freeze anything you want. Now it doesn't commit it, it only freezes it, but I think given that you get free reign over the choice of what you get to freeze, makes it still really strong, and just 2 burn damage is no joke, especially since this effect can actually knock out your rival, unlike a lot of the other burn damage in the game. So Conflict of Ideologies, very strong card. Next, moving into number 7, we're gonna have Blood Moon Rending, the ultra rare for Stain, of course. This card is absolutely crazy. Once you meet the combo requirements, you're getting to look at your rival's hand and take any card from it, and then for basically no cost you can pump 3 damage onto it. It's got a 1 low block. This card just does so much. This card's got Sarah once per game on it as an attack, and that's only a portion of the card's power. It's just so crazy. This card would be way higher up if it wasn't for the fact that it's only really super playable in weapon decks because you have to specifically combo it so hard, but I think that more than makes up for the fact of how strong it is. It's just that's why I can only be around number 7. This slot was probably the hardest to figure out. There were a lot of attacks that I considered. I really considered Toga's ultra rare for this, as well as Midnight's ultra rare for this, as well as the Eraserhead 3 difficulty attack from his structure deck. There were a lot of really good candidates for this. Ultimately, I just think Blood Moon's power, despite being weapon gated, is so strong that it can still sneak onto this list. For number 6, we're moving on to another weapon, but not one that's gated, and that's going to be Ignited Arrow. This is just a really simple attack that says, hey, if you block it, I get to go just find the next attack on top of my deck, and that is so powerful. As a 4 diff, it's an off-zone attack, it's an off-zone block, it's got Fury, ranged, and weapon, 3 extremely relevant keywords, and you can play it in any deck requiring those keywords because it goes and finds any attack whatsoever. This card is just really good. The actual impact and power of it is not as crazy as some of the other cards on this list, but the versatility is really what it's all about. You could convince me to put some amount of copies of this card into any deck on these 3 symbols, and I probably wouldn't be upset about it. Hey you like the My Hero Academia collectible card game, right? If the answer is at least a resounding probably, you should head right on over to unfunstuff.com for all of your MHA CCG purchasing needs. We've got the new set Heroes Clash on pre-order, as well as the new DLC 2 in stock. And if you want to use coupon code Wealthy Aspirations, you can get 5% off your entire freaking order and also support old Levi a little bit along the way. The link for all this is going to be right down in the description below, so get on over there and go get yourself some amazing product from some amazing people. Back to the video. Moving on to number 5, we've got one of my favorite foundations from the set, Nothing to See Here. It is a unique foundation with a +3 mid block, but that does not stop it from being a big contender for this list. Commit: if your mid or fury attack is totally blocked, your rival has to pop one of their own foundations. Just a commit cost, so crazy. This just says your moves have to deal some damage, or your opponent needs to be ready to just lose resources out the wazoo. And that's not it. It can also just pitch momentum for -3 speed, which is like a really relevant effect. Like, this card is just so crazy, and it's just one of those unique foundations that, unique or not, I am jamming 4 of this into any deck on these symbols that's playing any reasonable amount of mid or fury attacks, which is like a lot of decks on those symbols. Nothing to See Here is a really powerful foundation. All right, getting to the nitty gritty, for number 4, we have Prominence Burn, a very powerful attack from the Endeavor starter deck, effectively being a 6 high for 7 damage, giving your next one extra speed, clearing your card pool, burning them for 3. This card just does so much. Despite being a big 6 difficulty attack, essentially a 7 difficulty if you want the full value out of it, this is what I want to see out of my 7 difficulty attack. This card does so much, and really the only thing that keeps it from being even higher on this list than it already is the fact that it is very fury gated. But fury is kind of starting to become one of those keywords that's just scattered around a lot of places that you can kind of like accidentally have a fury lineup even when you're really not intending to. So I think it buffs the versatility of this card quite a bit, and regardless, even only in fury decks, I think this card is just so powerful that it can still find its way up here in a number 4 slot. It's even got a great +1 mid block. This card's just crazy, man. But the craziness does not stop there. We still have the last 3 cards to look through, and like I said, this is when it gets really cut and dry. Coming in at number 3, we have One with Nature. This is the craziest foundation in the entire set. Being able to trade a card in your hand for effectively +2 speed that your opponent can't interact with and +1 damage on every single attack you play is just nuts. Especially for something like the Earth symbol, who's been really lacking in the speed pump department. This card is an absolute godsend. It's even got an off-zone block. It's just, this card's such a crazy value transfer, and it really doesn't seem like it's that much, but when your opponent starts slinging Texas Smash after Texas Smash, all with +2 to your block modifiers, you're gonna realize how out of hand One with Nature gets so fast. But somehow topping it in Value Town, we have our number 2 slot, and that is of course Twisting Azure Inferno. You've probably been wondering where this card is throughout this entire list. It's sitting here in the number 2 spot. This is a maniacal attack. As a 4 diff, 4 mid for 4, this card just says, hey, if you can manage to put 3 damage on this move, it doesn't count towards progressive difficulty, and all your moves get +1 speed. That's effectively what this card says. And you only really have to put 1 damage on it if you have an action, because it's just going to get free 2 damage when you play that as well. Being able to be a 4 difficulty Crow and Frog takedown that also says your moves get +1 speed for the whole turn. This card is just so nuts. It's got 2 extremely relevant keywords in charge and range, meaning it's really good for things like Ochako that want to interact with charge attacks, or things like Frigid Heatwave range decks that want that interaction. Very relevant keywords for its symbols, and just again, this card provides so much insane value. If my opponent's playing like a hardcore aggro deck and they show me 2 of these, I'm probably just picking my cards up. This card is just so powerful. The amount of value it provides is crazy, and while it does have a sort of strict requirement, there's a lot of decks that really want to play this card that don't have trouble filling that at all. Especially something like the fire symbol pumps damage out like there's no tomorrow. They're going to be proccing their Twisting Azure Infernos all day every day with almost no effort, and just making it so hard to stave off their extremely powerful attack strings. So you might be asking yourself, what could top One with Nature? What could top Twisting Azure Inferno? What is standing at the top? Well, my dear viewers, in my opinion, the strongest card in Set 3 Heroes Clash is actually not in Heroes Clash itself at all. It is going to be Seizing the Advantage, the action card from the Plus Ultra promo packs for this set. This card is some of the most crazy value I have ever seen printed on a card, not just in the MHA CCG, but in any card game whatsoever. This card just says, hey, I'm going to put this down, give +1 difficulty to my next attack, but in turn, it's going to get 2 speed, I'm going to gain a foundation, and then I'm going to get to selectively flip any of my rivals' foundations, put this thing down, +1 difficulty to your next move. If you play a 4 and you check a 5, it doesn't even matter. The move gets 2 speed for free, and then you effectively build this down as an apathetic at response speed. This card is crazy. This card is so nuts, and it's sporting Air, Earth, and Fire. 3 very powerful symbols. Air and Fire are already nuts coming into Set 3, and Earth just gets better and better. Again, like we said with One with Nature, this is speed pump on the Earth symbol. Really powerful for free. I don't think you could convince me not to jam 4 copies of this card in any deck on these 3 symbols. This card being, this card is giving me very hardcore Season 1 Plus Ultra vibes from that promo pack, because holy cow, this should not be a promo. Anyone who's ever playing these 3 symbols needs 4 copies of this card. Again, you couldn't convince me not to put 4 in my deck. I think this card just blows away all of our criteria in selecting these cards, in that it provides some of the craziest value and impact that I've ever seen in a card, while also being completely versatile and not gated in any way whatsoever. You can max this in every one of these symbols, and it will not hinder your deck in the slightest. And guys, for that reason, Seizing the Advantage stands at the tippity top of this top 10 list. So guys, that is my top 10 list for Heroes Clash, but I really want to know yours. If you made it all the way to the end of this video and you have your own opinions you'd like to share, please, I'd like to hear them out. If you're thinking that there's a card that is crazy that I didn't put on here, I more than likely considered it, and it just ultimately did not make the cut. Again, this top 10 list was really hard to make because they have made such a cool and very powerful set within the entirety of Heroes Clash, and I really had a tough job narrowing it down to just 10 of these guys. That's gonna be it for this video. If you really liked what you saw, please feel free to leave me some feedback in the comments, drop a like, and hit the subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with all of the MHA CCG content we put out here, because it literally never stops. That's all the time I've got. I hope to see you guys in the next one. This is Levi, signing off.